Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here. You know, considering my brothers and sisters and how we really are, I think I can have the liberty to speak for God amongst you, my brothers and sisters. I'd like to ask you, if someone come to you and say, who made this earth? What do you say? Many of you will say God. Some of you will say a bang or something else. But most of you will say God simply because usually we are taught something about a God. And if you start talking about all of the other stuff like the clouds and the sky and the trees and the rivers and all of that stuff that man had nothing to do with, and ask you who had something to do with it, you would again say God, most of you. Well, I would concur that it's God. And something as fantastic as you, a human being, with all of those systems connected, interconnected, working together for the common good of something called a body. When I think about that, a question might come to my mind, how did that come about? And here again, I would say God. And I'm sure you would say God as well. But when you see all of the connectivity and how these things work together for a common cause, we can feel kind of excited that the God that is responsible for all of the earth is responsible for something special in people. Now, the difference that I can see when it comes to people is that we were made in such a way that we were given access to input to the outcome of our lives. We have the ability to say yes or no. And the yes or no that we would be speaking to is that which would give us a type of living that represented that power that hung the sky, that hung the clouds, that made the trees and the rivers and the earth and all those kind of things. And if we chose a different way, then we would obviously have an opposite outcome. So, as I would speak for the God that I'm familiar with, I would say that God, by putting all of the resources here on the earth that we need to do anything that we have done or will do, is a participation with that power that we can't see, that's facilitating our life. Well, that sounds good to me. And then I think about when you put that together, representative of that God that you might know, or the God that I might know, and we all would have to do it based upon what we know, and not really just on what we believe, because that can change quite frequently. But for me, I see a God of peace, that we as human beings live in peace, be prosperous in the things that we do, be free. This is the God that I see, the God that I talk about. God of joy and happiness. A God where you can actually live your dreams, where your needs, your wants, and your desires are met at your leisure. Can you believe that? At your leisure, when you wanted to. Wow, that's something else. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when I think about that, I also think about how that happens. And it is revealed to me that everybody benefits from being on earth. Everybody benefits from life. So it's stands to reason that you should participate in the process of creating that which we call life. So that great, fantastic God that I keep telling you about has designed it in such a way that each of us could have a job, a career, whatever we want to call it, that would allow us to participate in the process of creating from those resources that are given to us free an abundance of goods and services that are available to all of the people that would satisfy all of their needs, all of their wants, all of their desires, and make life worthwhile, make life satisfying. Now, this is the God that I know about. This is the God that I tell you about. And this God makes it possible for every human being using those principles, those practices, to live a satisfied life. Now, but we're also reminded that there is another way of life, and it's all of them. It can be a whole bunch of them, but they all start the same. They are trying to, rather than show the connection that you have with one another as a family, what you're basically doing is that you're saying that some are better than others, that some deserve more than others, and so on and so forth. And this is why you'll have some places where you got rich people, super rich people, billionaires, and you got people living on the street, living in tents, all that kind of stuff, simply because you don't have a real understanding of God. And so when I'm telling you these things, for the most part, you won't pay any attention to it because you're going on what you believe. And what you believe is more satisfying than what you don't believe. And you don't believe this because nobody told you about it. And so you just sitting around waiting. Anyway, I shared this information with you because it was shared with me. I shared this information with you because I know what I'm talking about. I share this information with you because I know you are deceived, and I know it by the outcome of our lives. Lying and cheating and stealing, hatred, racism and bigotry, all of that stuff, it comes from the anti-God, listening to someone other than God. They said it originally happened in the garden. That's what they say. It originally happened in the Garden of Eden. I guess that would mean that Adam got pissed off with Eve if she was the one that listened, and Eve got pissed off with Adam if he was the one that listened. In any event, regardless of who listened, they both followed, and they had the same mix-up right before their face when they followed a different path as opposed to that which would give them life. It appeared to them right in the face, in their face. And who was it? Their kid, Cain and Abel. You saw where that went. And this is the way life goes. They weren't the only one in the book where you got a chance to see this exemplified. No, it got all over the place, and it happens in our everyday life, all over the earth. And so right now, what I just described to you as God's plan for all human beings, that's God's plan. And this is the life that we pray for, that we are being denied because we do not know the truth. And not knowing the truth, my friends, it put us in this position where we are all living in hell. Now, I know some of you think that's because you're living in the middle of this, and that you go to church, you do those things that you've been reading about, and talked about, and preached about, and you think that got you on safe ground. You are not on safe ground, because every little thing that you learn about life, it takes you a little higher. And as it takes you a little higher, it brings you to an understanding of a responsibility that you have. You've come a little bit up in life. You're a little smarter. Now you're expected to reflect more about life than when you were not as wise as you are. So, we all got responsibilities. The hell we live is our own creation. I can't tell you that if you die right now, where you going, because I have no idea. But I do know what you're missing. You're missing heaven right now. Yes, you're missing heaven right now on earth. And you can't blame anybody but yourself. All right, I think I'll leave it there and say until next time, Eddie Marcus say goodbye for now.